alternatives to Versace Dylan Blue. So Versace Dylan Blue is obviously a pretty popular kind of fresh, citrusy, aquatic, slightly spicy type of men's fragrance, very popular. But there are a few fragrances that are also very similar with a little twist to them. And as always, all the fragrances that I mentioned will be available in the Amazon associate links down in the description below. So I'm going to start with kind of a budget option, kind of a toned down version of Dylan Blue that I find pretty similar, which is Acqua di Gio. This has been around for quite a while, since the 90s. Used to be pretty popular in the 90s, less so now, but this is, it shares many of the same notes as Dylan Blue, but it's more of, again, a toned down version. It doesn't have quite the presence that Dylan Blue has, but it does have many, many herbal notes, woodsy notes, the citrus notes, and things like that. So, similar in that sense, but this is more of a subtle, more intimate type of fragrance. Doesn't last as long, and it doesn't have some of those spicier or more metallic or bolder notes that Dylan Blue has. But again, if you're looking for something quite affordable, because I believe this is around 40, maybe 50-ish dollars, so pretty affordable here, this is a good option. Now, the only downside here is the longevity. Not great longevity on this one. Probably about 3 to 4 hours, so you would have to reapply it throughout the day, otherwise it would just kind of fade pretty quickly. But this is very versatile for year-round wear, but especially during the hotter seasons, because it is, a fresher type of fragrance. But again, this is a classic, affordable type of alternative to Dylan Blue. Now, if you want something with a little more oomph to it, a little more power to it, then I would say the classic Drakkar Noir. I do not have the bottle or anything for it, but I used to have a sample, and it is very, very similar to Dylan Blue. It's kind of one of the original aromatic fougere type of fragrances. Has many of those very sharp, crisp citrus notes, then the kind of herbal notes thrown in for some green scents and just kind of the general herbalness that it has, and then some of the wood notes and things thrown in there. But it definitely, I would say that the power that it has is very, very similar to the power that Dylan Blue has. Because Dylan Blue, I would say, lasts around 7 hours on most people, maybe a little bit longer. It has pretty good projection. Drakkar Noir is very, very similar on all accounts in terms of, its performance and things like that. It was a very, classic fragrance in the 80s. Kind of lost its popularity over the years, but it has a lot of similarities to Dylan Blue, and it's actually much, much cheaper. I usually see it for around $30-ish, so for a full bottle, so it's actually a pretty good deal to get Drakkar Noir, as long as you're not deterred by 80s fragrances. But in general, it's actually a great performer, smells pretty good, pretty masculine, while still being very fresh and clean, that sort of thing. Now, if you are not interested in 1980s fragrances like Drakkar Noir, then I would say a more modern alternative would be the more obvious Dior Sauvage. Dior Sauvage, I mean, that is arguably one of the most popular fragrances for men of all time. Has many similar notes to Dylan Blue, and it has a very similar smell, similar performance. It's actually a little bit stronger than Dylan Blue, but overall, very, very similar. Dior Sauvage, has those pink pepper notes, the Sichuan pepper as well, bergamot, some woodsy notes, a little bit of musk thrown in there. But in general, it's a pretty powerful fragrance, and most people really, really like it, both men and women. They always have those videos of people going out on the street, saying, "Smell this. Do you like this?" And most people really, really enjoy the smell of Dior Sauvage. It just has that kind of fresh yet warm type of approach, which is very attractive, very nice. It's clean while being a little bit kind of spicy and musky, which is always a nice, interesting mixture. And of course, being from Dior, it's a very high quality product. It is very popular as well, similar to Dylan Blue. But if maybe you don't want to go for, Dior Sauvage, maybe you've already tried it, you want to try something else. Another really close alternative is Bleu de Chanel, from Chanel, obviously. This is almost identical, just with a few little things changed. It also has the pink pepper, it has that really crisp, clean citrus notes, some wood notes thrown in there. The main difference here is that Bleu de Chanel is more spicy and warm. It has some nutmeg notes, and things like that, a little more on that hot, spicy type of approach that it has. It's not quite as fresh and crisp as Dylan Blue, because Dylan Blue does have a little bit of spiciness to it, but overall it's mostly fresh and pretty light. So Bleu de Chanel, very similar, but just on a little bit more spicy and warm side, which isn't a bad thing. I think it's actually a very attractive addition to that type of fragrance. And of course you get the quality of Chanel. It's also very, very popular, maybe not quite as popular as Dior Sauvage, which again, people compare them quite a lot for being so similar, but a good alternative for that type of aromatic fragrance. And one other option is First Instinct Blue by Abercrombie & Fitch. This is also very, very similar to Dylan Blue in the fact that it has, the citrus notes, the warmer kind of notes. It has some tonka bean in it as well for a little bit of that natural heaviness and warmth to it. It has pretty good longevity, very, very similar to Dylan Blue actually, around 7-ish hours. So you won't have to worry too much about reapplying it throughout the day. And it just smells very, very pleasant. It's kind of it's a good option if you don't want to go for the super well-known options like Dior Sauvage or Bleu de Chanel. You want to try something a little bit different. You go for the Abercrombie & Fitch option. It's definitely, set a little bit apart, so you smell a little bit more different and not as oversaturated as some of those more popular options. But it definitely is a very, very pleasant, fresh yet slightly warm type of fragrance, very powerful as well. But those are pretty much the best fragrances, I would say, that are most similar to Versace Dylan Blue. So hopefully you found this list helpful. If you did, of course you could leave a like, maybe subscribe, and I make videos throughout the week, so stick around for those.